Okay, I think uh, yeah, I pretty much got an idea of what each and every one of you are looking into it. So let me put it in a nutshell. So when we are talking about ITOM, just similar to ITSM, implementing a single module can never be a complete solution. So when you're talking about implementing a solution, ITOM solution, it means when it comes to ITOM, implementing discovery, service mapping, and event management. So having one does not give an exact uh, return of interest for the investment made on this. So let me put it in this way: how it would work. So I'm going to give an overview and a gist, and then I'll be saying about what are all the things that we would be doing as a part of our lab. So the things which I say are the agenda and how we connect each and every module in ITOM. So apart from discovery, service mapping, event management, we still have operational intelligence and cloud management. So those are like phase 3, phase 4 of a project implementation. But yeah, in the initial phases it would be discovery, service mapping, and event management. So again, it goes in this flow which I mentioned. So why discovery first? So in order to create a service map, we need a consistent CMDB. So how we get a consistent CMDB? It's with the help of Servicenow discovery. It's not something that is written on stone tablet. Like we only have to use Servicenow discovery. There are abundant tools outside market that can already do this work. All we need is a consistent CMDB. One of the ways which we can do that is using Servicenow discovery. Again, how we do it? So the first things here are to make the consistent CMDB. First, we need to understand how the CMDB is working. So we would be concentrating in the initial sessions with how CMDB is built, what are the benefits of using CMDB, how it can be configured, and without discovery, how are we going to populate it. So out of the box, there is an API available to populate CMDB. So we will be discussing about that first. And first we need to get an understanding of how CMDB works. So initially we would be looking into CMDB and those parts. There we would be having a couple of labs, say 3 to 4 labs, wherein I would be giving you some payloads. We can try those payloads and hit that from a third party tool, let's say Postman. So from a Postman, if I hit the payload, it'll hit the API that is available in the ServiceNow end, and it'll check if there is a CI. If not, it'll insert. If it's there, it'll update. So while doing it, we'll go into an understanding of how we can make this consistent. So we should not have any duplicates. So how are these duplicates handled? So these are the initial set of things that we would be looking into before going into discovery. So when we are starting discovery, our sole motto here is again one way of populating CMDB. It's not service no discovery again. Again, we need a consistent CMDB. So after getting this understanding of how CMDB works and how this API that is available for CMDB helps in populating the CMDB, then we go into ServiceNow discovery, because in the backend ServiceNow discovery is also going to hit the same API to populate the CMDB. So yeah, once we have that understanding, and once those labs are done, and that is an optional lab, the initial set of lab, but yeah, it gives a very good understanding of how CMDB works. Once that is done, we will start with discovery, and I have a certain set of servers hosted in the cloud. So uh, one of each student would get a dedicated server depending on the strength of the class, or a shared server. You can install the mid server and try to discover the network. So to give you a gist on that, so if you can see my screen, so these are the set of servers that are hosted in the cloud. So currently only instance 5 is active, so I can RDP and show you, but I'm not going to do that. So in this IP, I can give you the credentials. You can do a RDP, so and install the mid server. So once you install there, you have a capacity to discover the entire network, because your mid server is in this IP address. This is the internal IP. So this network will be able to discover. Not everything will be discovered, because I have made some blockers here to see what are the types of errors that we would be facing when we are doing discovery. So not all the servers will be discovered because of this labs that I have designed for. So we would be looking into the troubleshooting mechanism after mid server install, and how we discover the servers and all those things. So during that, we would also go ahead and uh, finish the prerequisites for performing service mapping, because as I said, we need a consistent CMDB. Once we have the CMDB consistent without any duplicates, that is when we go ahead and start service mapping. So again, service mapping is just a terminology. In the backend, it's still discovery that is running. So service now discovery is called horizontal discovery, and service mapping is called top-down discovery. So it's just a difference in terminology, but what is achieved with the help of service mapping. So the terminology, the term service mapping has been changed into application service map, application services, starting London, because this was causing some confusion between the business world's terminology of business service. So currently it is called application service mapping and not just services mapping. So what are we trying to map here? So let's consider an enterprise application. Yeah, let's take a e-commerce website. So let's say I want to monitor or make a root cause analysis of what went wrong in my e-commerce website, in case if there is an impact on it. So currently I have all the server details where this e-commerce website is being hosted and running in my CMDB, but the relationship is not maintained. So to create a relationship of one particular application, that is our e-commerce website, we create a map. So this map, what it is capable of is, it can give us a quicker response time to check what this issue is, what has actually happened to my e-commerce website. So let's consider, let me just try to showcase US billing. So this is a billing application service. So in general, what it's trying to do is, it's trying to map all the applications, sorry, all the servers that this application is running on. So if we consider one application, that application is going to have various servers to be need to run. So let us consider Amazon. So Amazon needs to be hosted somewhere, and it cannot be a single server. Why? Because there are at least, in a one particular instance of time, there would be at least a million requests raised from all over the world. So if I place it in one server, it is going to cost me a crash down of my server as well as crash down of my application. So this is one such example that we can see it in this map. So how it will be is, so this is something like a load balancer, F1 and F2 load balancers. So whenever there is a request coming in from the website, so that is HTTP, it is directly going to the load balancer. It is balancing the load. So let's say if 10,000 people are raising a request in Amazon at a time, a single server cannot handle all those requests, and it might eventually crash. So we need here, what we are trying to do is we are trying to create the architecture of that particular application. So again, what is this going to what are we going to achieve from this? So the first thing, so if you can see here, this one is it gives the timeline from this to this, what has happened. Any changes would be highlighted here, just like how it is been highlighted. So for a business decision to be made, let's say if they want to replace the server with another server, they can click the server and check below. So here it could any changes happened, so it would provide all the details. So previously if there were any incidents created, previously if there are any issues, everything would be displayed here. And until or unless this is creating a huge impact, I may not want to change. So it gives us a clear cut picture to create to make some business decision in order to either change this server or replace the server or update this particular server. So this here is a particular server. Here it says rel 532, and f2 is just the services that it is running. So yeah, again here it is just going to discovery is needed to bring all those details, because this server details are brought by discovery, and this relationship that we see here, the map of a particular application service, is what we would be creating. Again, to get a more return on investment on this particular solutions here, is where we go ahead with event management. So probably I think I don't have it. Let me check. Yep, it's not there. Okay, so what happens is whatever map that we are getting created here, it would go into the event management dashboard. So how it is going to work here? Again, so till this part is what we would be covering in our training. So first, what we would be doing is we would hit the endpoint of a application. We'll try to generate this particular map. Of course, it's not going to be this complicated. We'll keep it simple to make sure we get an understanding. Then we would go ahead and try to create a complex map, which is involving all such architecture that you are able to see it here. So first, we would be seeing how this works. Of course, in the backend, it is pattern that is making all these relationships being built. So we would be working on patterns, how a pattern works. So before going ahead into service mapping, even in discovery, we'll be playing around with patterns a little bit, which falls into our labs. Exactly how pattern works. So we'll get an understanding while doing the discovery session only. So when we go into service mapping, again, when we are talking about patterns, here it is going to work a little bit different than how it is working in ServiceNow discovery. So when we are doing this in a practical session, you'll get an understanding. But yes, these are the things so far that would be covered based on ServiceNow discovery and then service mapping. Then whatever map that we are creating here, it would go into the event management dashboard. So when we are talking about event management, it is always integrated with a third real-time monitoring solution. So till now, it's not a monitoring solution as of now. Until we implement service mapping, it's not a monitoring solution. It is just going to give us where the issue is, what is the root cause, what are the impacted services. So in a same server that we see here, this rel 532, different application can also run. It is not mandatory that only one service should run, one application should run in this service. So if this rel 5 through 532 is having a higher threshold, let's say the server has reached its threshold, the same server could host UK billing. So as of now, this is US billing. So a SEM server can handle the UK billing also. So when someone raises an incident based on saying that US billing, I see an issue in US billing, I'm not able to create a US billing issue. So they would create an incident and it would get tagged to the server here. So any other applications that are running or utilizing this particular server will also be impacted, but we may not know it right away. So that is why we have this event management dashboard. So in the dashboard, we can see what are all the impacted services when a single server is having any issues. So again, when we are talking about a third-party integration tool here, it may be SolarWinds, Nagios, or anything else. So they would send, the third-party tools will be monitoring the target devices. Those target devices are nothing but the servers and devices that are available in our CMDB. And then we create a map out of it. So once we have a map, different maps for different applications, we would be going ahead utilizing the events that are coming from, and then we can decide the appropriate remediation steps from how to do it. So how we would do, so again, it is a third-party integration. It would send us some response. It could be anything, so any type. So for example, let's consider it as a JSON response. So we would be parsing that, we would be binding it with a whatever information that we have parsed, we would be binding it against a particular CI, and we would create the event. So appropriately we'll create an alert. From an alert we would be creating an incident, and from that incident we can directly assign it to an prospective engineer, and when the support engineer picks up this alert, he might directly go and see what are all the impacted services because of this particular alert. So that would be available in the event management dashboard, and he can proactively work on pulling the other application team also. He can inform the other application team saying that US billing is having an issue, so UK billing might also have some issue. So we request you to proactively take some measures to mitigate these things. So this is when it makes a complete solution when implementing all these three. So whatever I have discussed so far would be covered in a separate lab sessions also, but yeah, I wouldn't be doing it in a very complex or a complicated way. It would be, first we would be doing the prerequisites of ServiceNow discovery, service mapping, and then event it would go in a flow. So once that flow is done, we would be starting up. Once the prerequisites are met, we would go ahead and do a simple labs, and then we'll go see what are the different troubleshooting mechanisms, what are the errors that we might get when we are trying to implement. So after that, we would go ahead and have a gist of all this complex things, and whenever there is a uh, possible scenario where we can go ahead and discuss, we would be discussing this. So the way how we do our classes would be like, initially I would be saying, so the first class I would be asking, but starting from the second class, the initial 10-15 minutes would be uh, allotted for queries. So whatever we discussed in the previous class, if we are not able to like have enough timing, since we are doing it remote, we may not have sufficient time to ask all your queries or answer all your queries. So I would be getting the queries at the end of the session. If time permits, I would be saying all I would be answering all your queries. If not, the starting next session, first 5-10 minutes would be to answer all the queries or whatever. uh, when Definitely there are going to be some labs, so you can work out on your own time after a class and come up with your own queries. So the class starts with the query session, and then we go on do our we'll be discussing what we'll be doing, the agenda for the day, and then we'll start with it, and most probably we'll try to complete it. If not, we'll take another session again to complete it. So mostly all the sessions would be recorded, so in case if you need them, I think the organizers can help you out on that part. So yeah, I think I've probably take a pass here, and if there is anything that you guys want in specific to discuss or add on into the agenda or the things that I have discussed with you, so you can add on. I'll say right away if that is covered or not, and then
Balaji, could you please help us with the syllabus that you will be covering?
okay. So this is going to be the agenda for discovery. And,
Balaji, Neha here. So this application mapping is service mapping, right? Module 6.
no, this is with respect to ServiceNow discovery. So this application mapping is, let's say I discover a server. So a server, when I'm discovering a server, the server could run multiple applications. So when I'm talking about services mapping, that is when application services mapping is coming into picture. If I'm just talking about application mapping, I'm just mapping an application to a server. I'm not mapping the entire application.
Okay. So these 10 modules are for discovery, right?
Yes, these are for discovery. I'll leave it for others to see, go through it for some more time. And then I can show you service mappings agenda. So probably these are the things that we would be covering with ServiceNow discovery, and then
So
this is,
if we complete this 10 module, so we will all done with the entire discovery, you mean to say?
yes, in general, this covers almost all the possible scenarios and things that discovery needs to be uh,
Okay, because
set up.
when I was going through docs.servicenow.com, so I saw like huge topics covered under discovery. So was checking.
Yeah, of course, like these are just the overview. So we can take a screenshot or something. You can go ahead, look into all these things. Probably this covers whatever things that you saw, those huge topics that are available in docs.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm quickly switching over to service mappings agenda. So again, this horizontal discovery is nothing but ServiceNow discovery. So I would just give a gist, since it falls as a prerequisite for service mapping and understanding. Then we would start with service mapping and the life cycle. We'll talk about extending patterns. Again, in patterns, if you are discussing, we have these different sections. We would be going through those sections. And then finally, we have event management. Of course, I don't have a detailed explanation of the modules that are covered in event management, but uh, yeah, what we would be doing is in event management, first things are like we would first set up our environment for event management to work. So a third party tool, I don't have a third party tool in place that can send me alerts, but I do have PowerShell scripts that can mimic the activity of a third party tool. So if we execute this PowerShell script from a mid server, it sends an alert to ServiceNow. So we'll be working in that way, and whatever alert is coming inside ServiceNow, we would be processing that alert. So it's like alert correlation, alert correlation and event processing. So yeah, that is covered in event management. And then event binding. So once event binding is done, we would be almost completing the event management part. So these are the things that we'll be covering, as well as I came across one of you requesting for asset management. So when we are talking about discovery, when we are starting about before we are starting about discovery, I would be touching the asset life cycle, but in detail, if you're talking about assets, then I think that falls into a separate module called ITAM, IT Asset Management. If you are talking about CMDBs and CIs configuration items, we'll be discussing it here. But yes, without an understanding of how an assert works, this cannot work. So I'd be spending at least a day or two sessions on how the assert lifecycle is working, not in just ServiceNow, but on the whole. So I think for the rest of the uh, students or here that were requesting, I think this pretty much covers the agenda for service mapping, service now discovery, service mapping, and event management. So this is pretty much it from my end. So if any one of you have anything else in particular to ask or discuss, we can talk about it.
Balaji, what is the duration of this course training?
Uh, yes. So in general, it's again, since it's happening over online, so it would be somewhere around 20 to 30 classes. Each class would be around 1 hour. So it depends on the phase in which we go. So a minimum of 20 classes is required to cover discovery and discovery, service mapping, and event management. 20 to 30 classes. So again, it depends. I've seen batches that went to 45 classes also. So it's all based on what is the requirement. So here I see a very basic requirement as a part of the ITOM implementation here. So it would be a month class, again 1 hour per class. So there are cases where we can connect over weekend for extra classes like a 2 hours or 3 hour session. That way we would be almost covering it in a month.
We will get recordings for all the sessions we conducted.
Yes, you would be getting it.
And Balaji, do we will we cover like CMDB separate topic, or will touch on that for every module simultaneously?
Yeah, so when you're talking about CMDB, as I said, so what we would be doing first is, before starting all these, I would be spending at least 3 to 4 classes on CMDB. So that is where I was discussing about the API that is available for CMDB. So we will be doing the labs on that, and definitely it's gonna take a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5 classes on CMDB. Again, it depends on how fast we are picking up the sessions.
One more question I have, Balaji. So, will you be helping us out in certification also?
Neha, your voice is a little low. Can you please be made louder?
Am I audible now?
Yeah, better.
Yeah, I was asking like, will you be helping us out in certification also after the course?
Certification, you're talking about ServiceNow provided certification on the mainline certification?
Yeah, main line certification of discovery.
I Yeah, so whatever that we are dealing here is as a part of a training is from a real-time project implementation scenario. So whatever issues and what needs to be the prerequisite, what's need to be set up, and what are the troubleshooting things that we can do it with respect to a project implementation. So I'm not sure if this could help anyone, but it helped me to take up the certification. Probably if you guys can just concentrate on the things that we do in a uh, very detailed level, you would be able to take up the certification. But yeah, I've did the same. I also have somewhere around 3 to 4 years experience just in ITOM. So that experience made me take up the certification. But without experience, I wouldn't suggest anyone to take up the certificate. At least a minimum of 6 months of experience in ITOM, because the questions that you get in the exam are real-time scenario based. It won't be something that you take it up in the admin or the application developer exam. So the exam is a little bit hardcore when you're taking up. So I highly recommend to have some experience before going to a level where you can take up the exam.
Okay.
Okay, Balaji, like what are the market expectations right now? Like if we are doing with the training and will be able to like get some projects or job just only by taking training and hands-on practice through lab, or what is like market expectation as of now?
Okay, so I cannot say that for 100%, but as of now, it's been like 2 years that uh, I am into the market of getting the projects. So I can still see there is a very uh, m- minimal number of developers coming up and doing this task, because why again here is it does not just involve ServiceNow's JavaScript as well as understanding ServiceNow. So when you're talking about discovery, or when you're talking about service mapping, you need to have cross-platform knowledge. So in specific, a Windows admin knowledge, not so much, but a very basic, something like a TCP IP commands. What will netstat do? How can I get the IP config? So to that level, so that understanding, most of the developers, they feel like it feels like a work that an Windows admin or Linux admin should do, and it's not my work. So the developers, most of the places, they skip away, but they don't see the actual advantage as well as how strong this particular ITOM platform is. So again, uh, in the market, there are many customers who have purchased ITOM licenses, but they don't have uh, very good developers who can implement it. I've seen projects that were ramped down because that there were not good developers who can actually implement the solution. And I've seen the project where people have implemented it to a level where the company is actually making 30% profit because of this ITOM solution. So one such company is it's a electricity provider, not in India, in abroad. It's in UK somewhere. So they've made very proactive solution. So this is just an example. So what happens is, let's say there's a power outage in a house. They had ServiceNow in the backend, and they have all ITOM implemented. All ITOM. When I'm saying all ITOM, it's operational intelligence and even cloud management. They even have orchestration in the backend. But yeah, a small example here is, with the help of this, what happened is when there was a power outage in a area, before the people who could complain to the electricity board, they were aware. How? Because they have the monitoring tools that were monitoring the servers that were responsible for routing the electricity to their places. So where are the servers placed again? So these servers are placed in the meters. So each and every house has a meter, right? So there they hosted a server. So whenever there is no response from the server, they came to know that there is no power in that particular region. So even before someone goes ahead and calls the electricity board saying that I don't have power, the electricity board sends a message to each and every person in that region saying that we are aware there is a electricity outage, we are working on it, and they can even say the time, how much time is this interruption that is expected. So how they come to know is again with the help of this map. So they have a map, they go look into the map, they see what is the area that is being impacted. So with that, they come up with a time. So a nominal time, and the time would be set to the end users, as well as a similar email thread, alert, incidents, everything gets created to the respective team. So how again even comes, alert gets created, they get to see the map, they get to see the impact. At the same time, alert can create an incident gets created, assigned to a respective team which is in the respective region. So they get to know the region. So it goes to the respective regions, people, electricity people who needs to take care. They get an email, they get a message, everything goes. So with the help of this, what they have done is they are able to minimize all these issues, and they are able to get more and more consumers with such implementations. In the back end, they have done some more things also financially. So how much ever outage, let's say there is an outage for 2 hours, there were some scripts, you guys must be aware, it is SLAs. So in the incidents, depending upon the SLAs, how much time the SLA has lasted, so that much amount of time they take an average of each and every house's electricity consumption, and in the upcoming bill they reduced that number of consumed units, taking an average. So this goes as a discount, saying that since there was an outage for 8 hours, as per their your average, you consume 100 units per day. So 8 should be somewhere around 60 units is being provided as a discount for you in the upcoming bill. So this was one of the brilliant solution that I came across with the help of Servicenow and ITOM. Yeah, in the market it's still hot, but there are very less people who can understand and implement it. And on top of it, you have a certificate, you can go to different places.
Uh, Balaji, like if any of the companies looking out for item specialist, they will be specifically looking for a discovery admin, like service mapping admin, or they want all three or all five modules. What are the expectations?
Yeah, it again goes with respect to whatever license they have procured. So initially it starts with discovery, but it never stops there. As I said, ITOM can never be a complete solution with just discovery. So they start with discovery, but as the project grows, as the phases grow, uh, the company would be procuring licenses for all the upcoming modules of ITOM if they come to know how effective this tool, this and the other modules can be. So basically, it starts with
So,
discovery,
Mhm.
which is
Mhm.
the phase, and it goes in a flow.
Is it fine if you
But
can
yeah,
just show
what they
that
would be
I
looking
have?
is,
Mhm. Is it fine if you
yeah,
can
yeah,
just go with the discovery module? Okay, let's say I have 1 year of experience into discovery, or I know only discovery, but I don't know service mapping and event management. So will that help me to get a job?
yes, definitely, because as I said, both discovery and service mapping, if you take, they are just different terminologies. All you need to know is how it works. So if I'm saying discovery, so if I'm saying actual understanding of how it works, discovery is called horizontal discovery, service mapping is called top-down discovery. So at the end, if you can understand, it is discovery that is what is running in the backend for both ServiceNow discovery as well as service mapping discovery. But how it works is all you need to know. When you're talking about discovery and service mapping, they are pretty much same. So if you know discovery, if you can just go over the um, docs, you should be able to understand. But yes, again, you would face difficulties when you're trying to implement it, because as I said, it comes with practice, and I don't see anything that is provided in the docs that can help you with that. Of course, I think there has been a many ask in the community to add it in the learning that is learning plans, which you can find in the developer website. But so far, there hasn't been much of a development done in that area from ServiceNow. We can see that in the developer.servicenow.com, there are some learning plans, but we don't have a developer for ITOM yet. But I highly hope we would be getting it after Orlando release, or at least by Paris.
Okay.
The
Will you
second,
share some
if you
document?
know discovery, you should be.
Uh, Balaji,
I
will you
would be
share some
sharing
documents?
yeah, I would be sharing the lab documents, what needs to be done with regards to lab.
Okay.
Balaji, I have one more question. So, how do we handle in case of upgrades? Like we see, like every year, ServiceNow releases new version. So, in case of ITOM, how do we do the upgrades and all?
Yeah, that would be covered in the session. So simply put, we don't touch anything out of the box. So we, until or unless there is a very dire situation where we need to customize something out of the box, we can do it. But my recommendation, never ever touch anything that is out of the box, because when you are upgrading, if ServiceNow found that there is some customization made, they consider that it is for some customers requirement, and if they upgrade that, whatever customization they have, that is the current customer has done for it, it might fail. So ServiceNow considers that as an exception, and they'll leave it to the developer who has developed it to upgrade it to work for the current platform. So whatever that we are going to discuss is, we are going to see how to avoid this when we are talking about upgrades. So here we would be either copying it, or we have some places where we can write our own custom codes, and whatever we are writing there would be compatible with respect to whatever version that is being upgraded. So it's the compatibility is towards the newer version, and of course we are not going to downgrade. So if until or unless it goes down a version, it may not work. But the compatibility is upward compatibility. ServiceNow is upward compatibility. So until or unless we customize anything, those things may not work, and we need to take care when we are doing an upgrade. We need to check if it is working or not. So yeah, to answer your question, upgrades, it's just like how we handle things for normal upgrade scenarios. But to uh, have a smooth upgrade here, never touch anything that is out of the box with respect to ITOM, because it's a very huge platform when we are talking, and we are not exposed to all of the code that is available uh, here. So we cannot, in a nutshell, we cannot understand why it did not work. So to be precise, to create our own code or copy the existing code and not edit anything that is existing. So that is one of the thing. Yeah, we would be covering it in our classes, because there are particular places where we can write our patterns, which is not going to impact the actual upgrade of the out of box codes.
Balaji, hello? Hello?
Yes.
Hi, yeah. So would you be able to cover the topics on Microsoft SCCM and BDNA normalizer, PagerDuty, how these are being valued to the service now?
Oh. So, sorry, Shashikant. Actually, can you be a little more clearer? I
Okay.
was.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, yes, better.
Okay. So I'm trying to know how Microsoft SCCM and PDNA normalizer PagerDuty is giving the value for service now.
Oh, okay. Okay, got your point.
Uh,
So,
yeah.
something similar to that we
Well,
would be
I
covering.
mean, these are the
So,
tools which are being used in one of my organizations where I'm already doing on ITOM. So, would you be able to cover these topics as well?
okay, so with specific to those tool, again, those things are licensed and pretty costly. So, what I would be doing is I would be mimicking to such tools. So every tool communicates via some protocol. Again, so, some payload would be there. So I would be mimicking those with the help of a PowerShell script or with the help of a third-party tool, something like a
Okay.
Postman. So we would do it as a payload and hit the API, and then it generates a similar thing that an SCCM could send to ServiceNow. So with respect to that particular tool, I don't think so I can help you out there, but we would
Okay.
be seeing the scenarios how ServiceNow would react when data is coming from a third party tool.
Okay. Apart from
This
that,
is in general.
how is cloud management taking up service now? Would you be able to cover this topic as well? Like one class when you get time, because cloud is trying to get over the service now. So that way it is becoming automated most of the time. So how cloud is trying to get over. I just want to know and get to know about this topic as well if you can.
Yeah, sure. I can provide you a gist on it probably to everyone once we are done with the all the flow. So I may not
Yeah.
have this in my agenda, but yes, I can come up even with a lab one or two. Let me see if I can bring a lab to it so that it gives a more sense. But yeah, I will try to dedicate a day for it to see and provide
Yeah.
a overview on it.
And starting from the CMDP, so we started from the CMDP and then going on discovery, then on service mapping, and then we're going on to the event planning. Is
Yes,
correct?
yes,
Awesome.
yes.
Okay. Okay, Balaji. That's pretty much of my questions.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
you're welcome. Okay, so I think if uh, I can take some more questions. So if anybody has any more questions, we can discuss and add those things in our agenda. If not, I think we should be good here to wind up.
Balaji, I have one more question. So, do we have scriptings in ITOM?
Uh, yes, we do have, but first thing is here is rather than writing more scripts, we would be required to understand the existing scripts in case there is a custom environment that is not supported by ServiceNow if you are trying to discover, map, or create a event management. So again, when we are talking these scripts here, it's not going to be like a full project implementation sort of scripts. It's going to be hardly 5 to 10 line scripts, and those scripts are again some somewhere related to the respective application that we are trying to discover. So let's say if we are trying to hit a Windows machine and trying to discover the application, we need to run a netstat command. So whatever that is there in the netstat command, we need to uh, parse it. So we might need to do a JSON parsing or a regex parsing, regular expression parsing. So different parsing strategy, as well as few places where we would be touching the database concepts, something like a merge table, union table. So again, it's not related to our actual scripts, but that is what it would be doing when we are trying such operations. So again, it's going to be a hardly 5 to 10 line script. I don't see a need for creating more than that when we are talking about these three environments, these three modules.
Okay. And Balaji, can you please help us in knowing the topics which we should know before we start this ITOM training, like knowledge on networking and something which you told, like we should be having some knowledge on network commands or something, so that we can go through before we start with this training?
Okay. Yes. So not much, I would say. So probably I have some terminologies. Hopefully, if it is there, let me check. Just give me a minute. Okay. So terminologies such as uh, not in detail. So whatever terminology that I'm saying right now, I don't want you guys to have go in detail and study all those. What I wanted to do is see what that is. Don't go in detail. So probably actually I don't have it documented. I'm just saying it out of things from the labs. Let me see if I can. Yeah, just hold on, guys. I think I have a document. Let me pull that up.
Balaji?
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just want to have a question like you are going to tell any real-time scenarios? Like,
Yes. So what we are trying to do in our lab sessions are, as I said, we would be trying to discover some set of servers that are inside a customer network. So you that are inside a network. So you can consider that doing a discovery inside a customer network, and we would try to map an application. So it would be running in general. So
mhm.
let's say a local host, an Apache website, sorry, an Apache Tomcat server that has a MySQL as well as a Python or a PHP running in the backend. So in general, we call it as a XAMPP or a WAMP server. So I would just install that, and it would turn up into an application, and we would be discovering that. So which is again mimicking the actual application services mapping scenario.
Okay.
Okay, so talking about terminologies, not all these things. These are just some terminologies which I was going through probably 2 3 years back when I was starting with the trainings. But yeah, not all these are required. So something like what is WMI? You need to understand how WMI is going to help us, because most of the queries what ServiceNow is doing as a part of discovery is WMI commands. So simple things like ping, traceart, subnetting is what something that you might have to look into it to get an understanding of how exactly are we going to give the IP ranges. But yeah, I would be giving you a gist on the subnetting things. Apart from that, TCP IP. So what is TCP? How it works?
SSH.
And then, sorry.
Yeah, SSH credentials, firewalls, ports, security constraint crossing out the demilitarized zone for the mapping.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in general, these are just an overview of what we
You
need
already
to
have
know.
everything in there. Yeah.
Yeah, almost everything.
Yeah.
But these are just basic terminologies that would be used when we are talking about the server things. These are not required these are not mandatory for us to know, but it would be an additional advantage if you know just what these are. You need not know how to work on it or how do we need to customize this. All it is required as part of ServiceNow is how this works, because these are already there in ServiceNow's patterns and things, and it is already executing all these commands. So as I said, what we would be requested to know is just the concept of how this works. What is this? What is a WMI? That's it. All the queries are already readily available inside ServiceNow, so you are not requested to write any of your own queries. But yeah, if you know something, you can go ahead and try. We can go ahead and try out that. It is definitely going to throw us some response. But yeah.
Okay, thanks, Balaji. So it will be good if you share this document with us so that we can go through these.
Yeah, yeah, sure. But I think let me just share the manual because it's pretty outdated.
Okay.
I would just share it, share these things along with you guys.
And one last question, Balaji. Like, when is the batch going to start? Like today is the demo class, so when are we going to start the class?
That depends on the call for everyone. So I don't have an active session going on right now. I have one going on from 7 to 9 a.m. IST timings. So yeah, it's again in the AM. So it depends on the call for everyone. It's not just one. So I leave it to the organizer to come up with it. So probably if everyone says a time that is suitable for everyone, and if it's matching, we can go ahead and start it. But yeah, the discussion is up to you guys with everyone in the call.
Morning was okay for me, but you told that you are already booked for one session.
Yeah, actually, I'm sort of doing it in an express session, so that is 2 hours per day is going on. So if I'm about to get a batch, I have to cut short that into a 1 hour batch, and we would be accommodated in that 1 hour.
Okay, so do we need to enroll for this three modules, right? To talk to Nilima,
Yes.
or we need to enroll with entire ITOM?
These three would be fine as you request, as we would be covering uh, the management also in a day. But currently, even for operational intelligence and cloud management, I don't have the enough infrastructure to provide a lab. But yeah, I can give a gist and things of how those things work. Probably if we find any spare time during our trainings.
Okay, but these three modules are mandatory for the class, right?
Yeah, it's again not mandatory. I can do specific trainings also. So yeah, in a nutshell, as I was saying, it's not a single thing. It cannot be provided as a single solution, uh, which doesn't make more sense when we are talking about the solution. It's again your take. If you are just requested in any one of these, I can go ahead and still provide that. But it again depends on the bandwidth and the classes available for that. Specific trainings are also provided.
So about the charges and all, we need to speak with Nilima.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And how about if you plan for a weekend? So is it fine if in weekend
Sorry.
weekend classes?
Yeah. Again, it depends. Mostly weekends. I would be going for a 3-day session where I'll be completing one of the modules in 3 days. If I don't go for anything, we can connect. Again, it depends on my availability. Most of the times I would be available. So if I'm not available, we may not be able to connect during that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it from my end.
Okay.
Thank you, Balaji.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all. I think we are good.
Thanks a lot, Balaji.
Okay. I think Nilima, we are good here. Let's wind up here for now for today. Thank you.